Hello and welcome to another tutorial and a new free plugin for Final Cut Pro 10. We're calling this Clock Face, and this tutorial is going to show you how to build it from scratch. We've done nothing so far, we're going to go right through the process, but if you don't want to build it yourself, you can also download it free from our website. As always, a like, a share, ring the bell, it all helps, and if you like that graphic, that's available too to download for free from our website. So let's get on with it. Let's open up Motion, and you'll probably be well aware that we'll get the choice of what to build. Now we're going to build a title because it's going to go over other footage and it might have some text in it as well. And as you know, I'm a big fan of using the text controls in a title. So we're going to go title. Yep, 1080 is fine because it's all got vector components, so they'll all scale up to 4K fine. And I'm going to leave it on 29.97. For the frame rate, but I'm going to do something special a bit later on because it's going to be a clock. We're not actually going to time, but I want accurate, to be able to put accurate keyframes in, and you'll probably see that a bit later on. 150 frames, again, I'm probably going to change that a bit later on, so let's go open. And as per normal, delete that. We call that background. And I end up turning it off. There's no doubt you've seen before. Right, okay, new group. And we're going to call this face. What I will do is I'll actually put the guides on because they're going to be helpful. That's view, overlays, show overlays. And I'm going to put the grid on because that's going to help. That tells me where the center is. And also I'm going to build it, and I want to know where everything is, as you'll probably see a bit later on. Right, I'm going to need a circle in that face. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw one roughly, and we're going to go for about that. Okay, go to the inspector, and I want the outline, which is coming along nicely. Geometry, let's make that nice number. 250, that's fine. And properties, we're just going to center that up. Now again, I like to have things on even numbers because if you don't, they go a bit fuzzy, and we've seen with some other plugins that it can go a bit soft to use video, but we're using vector things, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. On there, what I'm actually going to do, I think I'm going to publish that radius, so let's call that publish. And we don't need that. That's going to be the size, isn't it? No curvature. No. Do we want to publish that? Maybe we do. So let's publish that as well. Style. And we're definitely going to want the color. And we're going to want this width of there as well. So let's leave that on 6. Publish, and now we've got some controls in here. So this is the face, so we can actually say, if I spell it right, face radius. Let's just leave that as it is because we've said face there. So curvature, brush color, that's going to be color, isn't it? Just the color. And width. Edge width, maybe? Edge width. Okay. These controls will all appear in Final Cut Pro 10. So that's fine on there. And what we're going to do before I forget, we're going to save. So we're going to go save, and we're going to put that into free. And we're going to call this Clock Face. XEffects free, yeah, publish. And just one more because I like doing that. Okay, so we've got the face like that. Next up, we're going to be the hands, I suppose. New group. Hands. Okay, and let's do the, which one should we do first? Let's do the minute hand. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, will I use the Bezier? Yeah, I'm going to do a path, aren't I? So go like that, put that in there somewhere, and there. Hit enter. And then we've got our first hand. Now let's blow this up a bit. Actually, that's not a bad guess, is it? That's center point. Geometry 0, 0. And let's just pull that down. Now what I'm going to do as well on there is I'm going to say on the style, and we're going to go for the end, I think, on here. Start cap, end cap will be, I want to publish, yes, I do want to publish it, but I want to say it's going to be an arrow. There we go. That's looking okay. Arrow width, let's pull that down a bit, like that. And if that's the end cap, publish that. Okay, now I'm thinking about, we just need to center that up, about size. So if we're looking at this style, geometry, I'm just trying to think of the point. Is it going to be that one? No. It's going to be that one, isn't it? But why is that 109? It should be 0, shouldn't it? So let's just make this all nice numbers. 0, that's going to put it in the middle. So I'm going to have to offset, let's call this minus 100 and 100, just so we know what we're doing. So I want to get the anchor point onto the center, which is going to mean offsetting that by 100, I would think. So we go anchor point, and that Y is going to be 100. It should be bang on, shouldn't it? Minus 100. Okay, now why have I done that? Because hopefully now this will give me a control over size, which it does. But do I want to publish that, or can I go for scale on there? If I alter the scale, it's going to alter this arrow, isn't it? Which is a good point. So maybe I kind of want to publish those, don't I? Now I don't want to go about attaching a on-screen control to a point, because you have to go through a whole lot of tracking, and that's a real annoyance. So what I think I'm going to do is, if I publish those, what do I end up with? Okay, I end up with those, so I don't want to do that. So what I want to be able to do is adjust that arrow for size without adjusting the end cap, but it's on a point. Oh, that's tricky, isn't it? So this is minute hand. Minute hand on there. I could keyframe them. That's interesting. Keyframe one of them, but I don't want them to change over time. And I can't add these. I can't add these to a rig. I'm going to have a think about that one. That's interesting. But what I need to do is I need to duplicate that, and I'm going to say our hand. Our hand on there. Now what I need to do is apply behaviour to the hour hand, but first of all what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring that down. This is going to be that one. Yep. So let's say that's about the hour hand on there, do we think? And maybe the minute hand needs to go a bit longer to there to give us some differentiation between the two. How about that? Okay, let's do that as a 120, and hour hand, let's say that's 60. Nice numbers on there. So I'm going to start to apply some behaviors. So selected behaviors in the library, I've gone to parameter, and I'm going to put ramp. I'm going to put it on the hour hand to start off with. Okay, and that's going to go round. It's going to be in 12. And we need 12 hours, don't we? But that's fine. But we're actually going to apply that to properties, transform, rotation, and that's going to be Z. So end value, if we pump that up, oh, that's interesting, it's going around the wrong way, so we're going to have to put a negative value in. So if we go minus 360 on there, then that actually goes round. Okay, but we're not going to, we're going to actually publish the start and end of this ramp, so you can actually adjust whatever you want. And it's interesting, it doesn't go around fully at the end because it thinks it's, I mean, you might have noticed you get this horrible thing with ramps, you get this like one frame of nothing happening at the end, and I think what you need to do is you need to just extend it or bring it back in to get it to go there. So for some reason it has to be kind of like one shorter, which is a bit odd. Or is it because it's just snapping back to 0? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Doesn't really matter because 0 is 0, isn't it? At the top. Okay, so that is, it's not 1 hour, it's actually 12 hours. Right, okay, I think I can manage that. But we need to animate the hour hand as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put another ramp on. I'm actually going to put another behaviour, which will be the link behaviour. I'm going to link that onto the minute hand. Okay, activate that. Look at the inspector. Then I need to find what the where it's going to link to, which is the hour hand, and it's going to go to properties, transform, rotation Z, and that's going to be from properties, transform, rotation Z. But they're going at the same time here, aren't they? Which we want to do a multiple, so we need to change the scale. So if I put that up to 12, then I don't want these keyframes in here. Turn that off so it doesn't record. Hopefully, if we look at this now with the hour hand going round, so that's 1 o'clock, and notice it doesn't go bang on either. We'll address that in just a sec. So that's 1 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock comes up. Yeah, again, it doesn't go bang on, does it? 6 misses that. But there we've got the animating clock. The hour and the minute hand should work perfectly together and give you the right angles because they're linked together with this simple link and the multiplication here of the scale of 12. So again, I'm going to hit save. So 2 days and 3 thunderstorms later, which stopped me from doing any tutorials because I couldn't hear myself, let alone record anything with everything going on. And I think I've finished the clock face. And there's a lot that's been added, and it would take a long time to go through everything that's been added, but just take a look at this. I've added all of these features on here, and I'm pretty sure you didn't want to see me go through and put them in, find out they didn't work, and then change them, because I actually learnt a lot doing it as well. And I will run through a few things quickly just to show you. But it is finished. It's not going to move because you have to animate it, which is one of the first things I got wrong. Now, what I've got on here is I've got the animation for the time, and that is 360 is 12 hours, because it took me a while to realise that when you push, just to look how great that is. That all works absolutely fantastic, and it all works bang on. All the angles are correct. However, it's because they're angles. Anything that counts from 1 to 100 instead of 1 to 360, or even 1 to 60 maybe, even because for minutes, then you go out of step because it's not going to match up. You have to have kind of like the whole units of the degrees, if I'm making sense with that. So the idea about having a start and stop didn't really work because I couldn't rig the time into a rig that would have a control with a rotary control as opposed to a linear control or a slider. And also, if you remember, we said about going backwards. What I did on here, I've actually got the control, and this is the control that's the published one. This one here, 35, but that's linked to the hands. But I put a link in and then put a negative. Let's see if I can find it quickly. It's going to be our hand, isn't it? I think it's going to be a link on here. Here we go. And this is -1. So going forward with this control makes this one go backwards, and that's how you get the forward hand motion, by pushing this control forward. If you push the hand control forward, it will go backwards. Am I making sense? And I think from earlier on in the video, it has been a couple of days, but from earlier on in the video, you will understand that. Okay, what else have we got? We have got so many controls. I've got left, right position and scale, which is fairly obvious. I've gone to great lengths to make it all with vectors as well, so you should be able to blow it up. I mean, it's 1080 at the moment. I'll describe the limiting factor a bit later on, which I found out again. I learned something, but let me just undo that. We've got rotation, so you can rotate the thing in X and Y. Should you really want to have a clock that's thin, you know, but it looks like it's on an angle, probably not going to use that. Right, everything on the clock you can turn on and off. So I can turn the hands off like that. I can turn the face off, although you can't see it because it's black underneath here, but just to show, I could turn the edge off like that. And you probably spotted it. I've done the numbers and the hour ticks. Now, let's do the hour ticks first. They were relatively easy to do because they're just one shape that's replicated a lot of times. So if I go down to here, it says marking. So you can see I've got one rectangle and a replicator, and it replicates that spread out over the edge of a circle outline, and there you go. And it even does the color on there as well, and that color's published. That was the easy one. That was the easy one to do. That took seconds. This one took a lot longer, and it's the replicator for the numbers. So how do you get the numbers? And just to prove that these are numbers and they're not baked in, we can see here, got all the numbers in here. Now, if you wanted to be really clever, you could actually convert these into Roman numerals, and it would work the same. You'd have to put them in relation to where they are, and here you just tap over these. But how do you get those to replicate round the edge of a circle? Because if you just hit replicate, then it just goes 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 round the outside, and it doesn't work. So what I've done is, if you have a look at the numbers on here, what I've actually done on here, and this took me a bit of thinking, and it's a great tip. So I made a layer with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 to 12 on there. Don't know why that one's down there, but anyway. And then what I did, oh yes I did, I know why, because it goes like this. You can see they're actually the length, so they're all 5 frames long on there. And then I dropped that, no I didn't drop it, I made that into a clone layer. So that's the clone layer there. And then I replicated that clone layer, because what it enables you to do, if you put any kind of like movie or anything that's got any duration into the object source, you can spread it out by frame offset. And here you can see I've got frame offset of 5. If I push that down, now hopefully this is going to work, it should all go to 1. Yeah, it does. But if I put it to 5, it's taking every 5th frame on there. It's going to go back to there. Let's tap that in. And that's how I managed to get that to spread out around the clock. Again, it's a replicator and it's the circle outline. This took me a while, I must admit, this took me a while to work out how to do. And if you look at the help up here, it doesn't say anything about replicating a clone layer. It says you can replicate QuickTime media. But I thought, well, maybe that's just a container. They just think it's anything that's got time-based base on it. And lo and behold, you can drop that clone layer right here, to prove it, there you go, into the image well on there, and that works with the frame offset. Really good trick to know. Quite pleased with that one, working that one out. Now that was a good success. I've also had a failure. Now what I tried to do was try to put some controls to the lengths of the hands on, and I failed. And if you see down here, we've got the control points, and that's the hour hand and the minute hand down there, and you adjust the length of them down here. Because I tried rigging using a track, etc. to the end to track the point, but you have to rotate the thing that's being tracked at the same time as the hand, and it gets just a bit too complicated and a bit clumsy, because putting the track points in, it's a really weird workaround with the way you have to track a point to get a point on a shape to animate, if that makes sense. And I'm sure people who build plugins regularly will be just going, yeah, I know exactly the pain you've been through to do that. So to get this out and to get it shareable, I thought I wouldn't do that. I thought I'd just publish these points down here. And just to show you, look, even if I tap in, let's say X, and then hit save, let's hit save, keep an eye on that. Look, it disappears. So I can't even move these either. So either my version of Motion is broken, needs reinstalling, or it's a bug and you're not really meant to publish the control points on there. I don't know. I'm pretty sure hopefully they still end up in Final Cut Pro 10. And we've got some other things. We've got the drop shadow, but that's more or less it. I mean, it is very flexible, as you can see from the examples. And you can blow this thing up because it's built with vectors. And this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure that you could blow this thing up. And I wouldn't want to go bigger than 1920 by 1080 because that's the the whole thing bigger than that, because that's the size of this clone layer. The limiting factor on this would be the clone layer's dimensions on there. And that's the one that will change because it's still live, remember. So let me just double check this by, let's say if we go 5 text. Now Roman numerals 5 is V, isn't it? There you go. Look at that. You could actually build that with Roman numerals and go round. You'd have to be a bit careful about the sizing, and that's fine because what we've got built into the project, if I go back to the controls and the numbers, we've got the radius. So you can control the radius of that. Again, you've got to love Motion because it's so flexible, but I tell you what, you can get really annoyed with it sometimes trying to do something simple. Because some of the simple things it doesn't do easily, and some of the complicated things it does really well. It's a bit weird the way it happens like that. So if you wanted to say have Roman numerals, you just go through and replace those with the correct numerals. I mean, even if it's another language, I suppose you could go through and replace those with the correct numbers, because not everybody counts 1 to 12. There you go. It's been an interesting 2 days. I've learnt a lot, and that's one of the reasons why I do it, because it's kind of like it makes me relearn stuff and get stuff clearer in my head, and I love being able to solve a problem. So this plugin is completely free. You can download it from the Industrial Revolution website, and I hope you enjoy it. A lot of effort, as you can see, has gone into it, and just from looking at the examples you can see how flexible it is, and that's the key to building a good plugin, is building a lot of flexibility in it, well, I think anyway. Okay, there you go. Enjoy the plugin, free to download, and we've got a lot more coming, so please subscribe, ring the bell, give us a like, put something down in the comments if you want something building, and I'll see what I can have a go at. But in the meantime, take care. Thanks very much. Bye bye.